Hey James, this is Tony Timpone from Fantasia. How you doing?
What's up, Tony? How are you, man? Good to see
Hey,
you again.
yeah,
You
great
look
to
the
see
same for like
you.
20 years, dude.
Oh, you look pretty much the same too.
Yeah, a little bit of difference here.
But anyway, welcome back to Fantasia. You're no stranger to our film festival. You know, we played Romeo and Juliet way back in 1997, and we played Super in 2010, Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014. Now we've got your best film ever, The Suicide Squad.
Thanks, man. I'm excited. I mean, listen, I love Fantasia. Had one of the best times of my life there in 1997. So it's awesome that the Suicide Squad is there. I'm just so sad that I can't be there with it, but next round. I love the Fantasia Film Festival. I went there for the first time in 1997 with my film that I made with Lloyd Kaufman called Romeo and Juliet. And I have tried to keep the spirit of the Fantasia Film Festival alive in all of my movies since by letting them be as over the top, as outrageous, and yet still done as sincerely as possible over the past 25 years. And now we have the Suicide Squad, which I made just for you guys at the Fantasia Film Festival. And here it is.
Love it. That's great. Thank you, James.
Sure thing.
So let's jump right into the interview then. You were an unfortunate victim of the cancel culture not long ago. Unlike most, your case had a happy ending. With the Suicide Squad, did you have to kowtow to the cancel culture or the woke movement at all? Or was there anything you wanted to do but couldn't because it wasn't politically correct?
No, there's nothing I had to do that wasn't, I didn't have to do anything or change anything throughout the whole movie. I had total freedom. And I'm going to say, I disagree with you a little bit because I do think that there is such a thing as cancel culture. And sometimes people are canceled who don't deserve it. But in most cases, people who are so-called canceled are just fine. And there's a lot of people that get attacked, and I know it's not easy, on Twitter for something or other, and suddenly there's droves of people who are attacking them for something they said 10, 20, 30 years ago or something they did long ago. And sometimes it's really a bad thing. I don't think that, what Bill Cosby did or Harvey Weinstein did, for me, those guys should be canceled. That's accountability. So I think everything is a balance, and I think we got to be careful about turning that particular issue into this side and this side, because there is a balance spectrum on which these things, are experienced. And making a joke is not the same as, abusing someone. Those are two different things.
Right. Great. When I was a kid, you were either a Marvel fan or a DC fan. Everything was pretty partisan when it came to comic book collecting. But it's the rare case where you love both. Am I right?
Absolutely. I collected both Marvel and DC comics. I love the characters from both. I went back and forth on which one I liked more, and I love them both equally. I didn't have any friends who were into comics, so I was never introduced to that type of culture until I got to high school, and then I had other friends who liked comics. But when I was in grade school, I was the only kid in my class who liked comic books. So I always felt like an outsider, and like it was something I would get made fun of for. So nobody even knew I liked comic books.
What did you want to do different with the Suicide Squad from what you did with the Guardians of the Galaxy films?
Well, I think I just am trying to be true to the nature of the characters themselves. And so I think that by its nature, Suicide Squad is a sort of, really dangerous. They're black ops stories about these Z-grade supervillains who are put into deathly, situations that will likely lead to death because they're disposable, because the government doesn't care about them, and they think no one else will care about them either. So those characters that just leads to a different type of story. I mean, in the Guardians, it is more aimed towards families. There's children like those movies, really old people like those movies, whereas Suicide Squad is a little bit for an older crowd. So they're very different in many ways. We don't ever really think that Rocket is going to shoot Drax's face off in the middle of an argument, but even though he says he's going to, we don't think he's going to do it. In the Suicide Squad, they not only say they're going to do this, they do this. That's what happens.
Were there any other major aesthetic differences playing in the DC Sandbox for the first time?
Again, I think it wasn't so. There's major aesthetic differences. The Guardians were made, in a way, I make those movies for 3D, so they're very big, very brash, very geometric, very planned out. Every shot is drawn ahead of time. And Suicide Squad's a little bit more. It moves a little bit more. It's all about the movement. It's about remaining grounded. It's gritty. It's handheld. We use these new rigs called nano rigs that are mover. We're the only production to have ever used them until I think now the Flash is using them. But they move around people faster than you normally could. You can get in close and get far very quickly. You can chase someone faster than you ever could. You can jump off things with them. And that creates a whole new visual cinematic language that doesn't exist. That's a cross between handheld and dollies and Steadicam, and it's really its own thing.
Was there any pressure to carry over certain characters from the first film?
No, when I first talked to Walter Hamada over at DC, when they brought up doing a Suicide Squad movie, I said, what do I have to keep from the first film? And Walt said, nothing. He said, you can create a whole new team if you want. You can use the exact same team. We love Margot. We'd love her to be in the film, but she doesn't need to be. You can have her in there or you cannot have her in there. So it really was a matter of just doing whatever I wanted. And at the end of the day, I thought that the characters that I reused, Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang and Amanda Waller are the characters that really I thought could add something to the story that I was telling with the movie.
All of your supervillains, even Starro, come from the DC library. Yet you created two new characters of your own, TDK and a Ratcatcher too. What made you decide to do that?
Well, I love the old, the silly, there's a lot of silly comic book conventions that we take in this movie, sort of turn on their ear. And for Ratcatcher 2, it really was about, taking a character that's known, Ratcatcher, known by very few, known by 87 people, and give her Ratcatcher 2, which exists sometimes in the comics, these characters that, are just given to, but yet introducing Ratcatcher 2 as the main character, as the primary one. She's just another outsider character who I have as a part of the ensemble, and I thought that was fun. And I loved her power of controlling rats. I thought that was a pretty cool power to have.
Right. Since this is geared for the Fantasia people who've just seen the movies, we're gonna get into some spoilers.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen the movie, you might want to turn this off now. But anyway, how did Michael Rooker feel about being the Janet Leigh character at the start of this film, where we think the film's going to be about him, and he gets off in a spectacular fashion right at the start?
Michael was very happy. We didn't even know if he was going to be in the movie to begin with. So he was just happy to be a part of the movie. Michael and I have done everything together. He's had huge, gigantic roles like Yondu in Guardians 2 or Grant in Slither. And he's had very small roles like, the character he played in Super. We just like working together. We're buddies. And it's always fun. I yell at him a lot on set. And we love to make fun of him as a cast and crew. So he's great to have around.
Was there any pushback over the fact you kill off so many major characters, even carryovers from the first film like Captain Boomerang?
No, never. No, it was a part of my original pitch. I went in there and said, hey, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens. It seemed like a very complicated thing to tell a studio head that all of a sudden I'm talking about Mongal and Javelin, but I went in with pictures of everybody and I said, they all go to the beach. And so basically, the people that I was pitching to thought exactly what the audience would think had they not seen any advertising, that this was the Suicide Squad. And then all of a sudden, what happens.
You initially kill off Peacemaker only for him to be revived in an Easter egg. Was this always the plan? I know there's going to be the HBO Max series in January, but did that come after, or what's the story on that? Or it was always
It very definitely came after. I never planned on it happening. So I just, they came to me and they asked me what person would I like, which character would I like to make a TV show about, if any. and Peacemaker was automatically my answer. Um, and then I had to decide, was it going to be a prequel? But I don't really like prequels except for Better Call Saul, and so I kind of just went the route and did the sort of cheating thing of bringing him back to life. But oh,
Harley Quinn has been in 2 other films. What did you want to bring to her character that we hadn't seen before?
well, yeah, I wanted to give her really a great. First of all, I love the original character by Paul Dini as she was created in the animated series. I think she had a great foundation. So I just wanted to bring out even more of that chaotic trickster vibe of Harley. Let her go all the way with that. I wanted to see her kick ass like she had never kicked ass before. I wanted to see her go all out crazy that she's never gone before. But I also wanted to learn a little bit of something about her and see a little bit more of the emotional side of Harley Quinn, which we also see. And we see her learn and grow in her own fucked up way. So that I think those, I love the character. I think she's one of the best written characters. And I just wanted to truly honor her as a character in writing her and honor her creators.
Great, great. Was there initial talk about getting Will Smith back as Deadshot or having Idris Elba play his character?
There was. We talked about it. I talked, I just wanted, I love Idris Elba, and he's somebody who I've wanted to work with for a long time. And so I just thought he would be a great movie star and a great center to this figure, to this film. I wanted to give the main character this sort of William Money vibe from Unforgiven, where he's this grizzled old supervillain who we know had this glorious past where he shot down Superman and now is scraping gum off the prison floor and kind of pull him out of an existence that he's sort of content with, and give him this journey where he discovers a more vulnerable and emotional side of himself over the period of 2 hours. And I just thought Idris was perfect. He needed to be so grounded that I wanted Idris to be that. But I knew what the character was in terms of a person. I actually didn't know which superhero he was going to be for a long time. And it's playing with different characters until I quite figured that out.
Gotcha. I love how the film becomes a kaiju monster movie at the end, albeit a really messed up one. Have you always been a fan of kaiju films and wanted to end this movie with, this Godzilla style mashup?
Absolutely. I mean, well, I love Starro. First and foremost, as a villain, I always found him scary when I was a little kid. I know he's ridiculous. He's a giant pink and cerulean blue starfish, but he was also very scary in what he did. So I loved him as a character, but I also, I grew up loving Ultraman and Godzilla, destroy all monsters. And so being able to have a kaiju for the first real time was exciting to me.
What I love about you is you never forget your roots. You started at Trauma, but I must have blinked because I saw Lloyd Kaufman's name in the credits as well as the Toxic Avenger. Where was it?
Well, did we credit Lloyd as an actor? I guess we did. Lloyd is in the movie. He's in La Gatita Amable, the brothel
Nightclub?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
The Gentleman's Club, and of course he is. And John Cena knocks into him on the way inside the door, and then he's later seen slow dancing, $10 a dance with one of the girls in the club and crying is in her arms as he slow dancing with her. And then the Toxic Avenger is actually playing on the TVs in the prison, so we get to see Toxie.
Great. Next up is a Guardians holiday special and a Peacemaker TV show, then Guardians Volume 3. Do you ever sleep?
No. It's a matter, like I got stuck in, I was planning on doing this, taking a little break, and then going on and doing Guardians 3 and the holiday special. But while I was quarantined, I didn't have anything to do with myself. And, I'm on the verge of depression and my anxiety is crazy. And so I needed to do something to distract myself. So I wrote 8 episodes of a TV show and then we went and shot it. We're done. I think it's my favorite thing I've ever. And I'm really excited about it.
Wow, holy cow. We sure hope you'll do another Suicide Squad movie. Any thoughts on where you would take that if you did
I have thoughts here and there. I know it wouldn't be exactly the same. I think that, there is a lot of beauty to the Suicide Squad because you can take it in a lot of different directions where you don't have to just repeat yourself. And I think that's what, if I did something, it would be very different from this movie.
Gotcha. Are there any other lower budget horror movies you plan on producing, like Belko Experiment and Brightburn?
No, we talk all the time about Brightburn 2, and we've got, it's just a matter of getting it right and the concept, and so that might happen in the future, but that's it for now.
Gotcha. Going back to the Suicide Squad, you said the film was inspired by The Dirty Dozen and Kelly's Heroes. Some people have compared your opening to Saving Private Ryan. Was that your effort to outdo Steven Spielberg?
I will never outdo that opening. That opening is like a work of art in and of itself. That I wish it was half that good. It was definitely an inspiration. But yeah, that was a huge inspiration. Where Eagles Dare was a huge inspiration. Sort of getting the vibe of these old action adventure films. But then, like you said, also the Kaiju films, Japanese films, also, the sort of conspiratorial 70s movies like Parallax View. And there's a lot of different elements of all those things in there.
Right. So finally, do you have any dream project that you'd like to put before the cameras at some point?
Nope. If I did, I would be doing it. I don't, I think I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. I did this movie. That was a total dream. Doing the Peacemaker show is a total dream. The Christmas special is something I mentioned one time in passing to Kevin Feige, and they jumped on. And so I'm really getting to do everything that I want to do right now. And my dream project is a nap.
Well, congratulations, James. You're truly blessed, and the fans are lucky to have you. And congratulations on the amazing debut of the Suicide Squad here at Fantasia. And much happiness and success to you, as always.
Thanks, Tony. It's great to see you, dude.
Great to see you. Good luck.
Fantasia. Thank you.